Have you ever felt drained or resentful after spending time with others? Maybe you've noticed that you're constantly people-pleasing, sacrificing your own needs and desires to avoid conflict or rejection. This is a sign that you're not setting healthy boundaries. Setting healthy boundaries is not about being selfish or controlling. It's about protecting your emotional energy and cultivating respectful relationships. When we set boundaries, we're not just saying no to others, we're saying yes to ourselves. We're saying yes to our own needs, desires, and well-being. By setting boundaries, we can reduce stress and anxiety, build stronger relationships, and increase self-respect and self-worth. But setting boundaries is not a one-time task. It's an ongoing process that requires self-awareness, self-compassion, and assertive communication. Let's explore the importance of setting healthy boundaries and provide practical tips and strategies for doing so. We'll discuss the different types of boundaries, including physical, emotional, and mental boundaries, and provide examples of how to communicate boundaries clearly and assertively. Let's also explore the challenges of setting boundaries with others, including conflict and boundary pushback, and provide guidance on how to navigate these situations. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of the importance of setting healthy boundaries and the skills to set boundaries that work for you. You'll learn how to prioritize self-care and self-compassion, cultivate respectful relationships, and maintain healthy relationships. So, let's get started on this journey to setting healthy boundaries and cultivating a more fulfilling, respectful life. Have you ever felt like you're constantly running on empty, like your emotional tank is always on the verge of running dry? You're not alone. Setting healthy boundaries is a crucial step in protecting your emotional energy and cultivating respectful relationships. But what does it mean to set boundaries, and why is it so important? For me, setting boundaries was a journey of self-discovery. I used to be the type of person who would say yes to every invitation, every request, and every expectation. I thought that by doing so, I was being kind, generous, and considerate. But in reality, I was draining my own energy and sacrificing my own needs. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom, feeling burnt out and exhausted, that I realized I needed to make a change. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it's necessary for self-care. When we set boundaries, we're not saying no to others, we're saying yes to ourselves. We're saying yes to our own needs, our own desires, and our own well-being. By setting boundaries, we create space for ourselves to breathe, to relax, and to recharge. So, what are the benefits of setting healthy boundaries? For one, it reduces stress and anxiety. When we're not constantly people-pleasing, we're not constantly worrying about what others think of us. We're free to focus on our own goals, our own dreams, and our own happiness. Setting boundaries also improves our relationships. When we're clear about our own needs and limits, we're more likely to attract people who respect and appreciate us for who we are. We're more likely to build strong, healthy relationships that are based on mutual respect and trust. Finally, setting boundaries increases our self-respect and self-worth. When we prioritize our own needs and desires, we're sending a powerful message to ourselves. We're worthy of love, care, and respect. We're worthy of taking up space and having our own voice. In the next section, we'll explore the concept of emotional energy and how it's drained by others. We'll discuss the signs of emotional exhaustion and burnout, and we'll talk about the importance of prioritizing self-care. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on our own boundaries and relationships. What are some areas where you feel like you're struggling to set healthy boundaries? What are some ways you can start prioritizing your own needs and desires? Emotional energy is the fuel that powers our lives, and when it's depleted, we can feel like we're stuck in a never-ending cycle of exhaustion and burnout. Emotional energy is like a battery that gets drained by the people and situations around us. When we're constantly giving and giving, without taking time to recharge, we can start to feel like we're losing ourselves in the process. The signs of emotional exhaustion and burnout are all too familiar. Chronic fatigue, irritability, and a sense of hopelessness that can be hard to shake. But here's the thing: setting boundaries is not selfish, it's essential for maintaining our emotional energy. When we set clear boundaries, we're not just protecting ourselves from others, we're also protecting our own emotional well-being. It's like putting on a seatbelt before a long road trip. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being prepared for the journey ahead. Self-awareness is key to recognizing emotional energy drains. When we're aware of our own emotional triggers and patterns, we can start to identify the people and situations that are draining our energy. It's like having a radar system that alerts us to potential danger zones. By being more mindful of our emotions, we can start to make conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy. Prioritizing self-care is also crucial for maintaining emotional energy. When we take care of ourselves, we're not just indulging in pampering, we're actually investing in our own resilience. By making time for activities that nourish our mind, body, and soul, we can start to feel more grounded and centered. It's like filling up our emotional tank with the good stuff: love, laughter, and connection. So, what can you do to start replenishing your emotional energy? Take a step back and assess your relationships. Who are the people in your life that drain your energy, and who are the ones that uplift and support you? Start setting boundaries with those who drain your energy and prioritize self-care with those who uplift you. Remember, setting boundaries is not about being selfish. It's about being brave enough to take care of yourself. Have you ever felt like you're constantly being pulled in a million different directions, with no clear boundaries to protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being? That's because setting boundaries is not just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself. There are three main types of boundaries: physical, emotional, and mental. Physical boundaries are about setting limits on your personal space and physical interactions. Emotional boundaries are about protecting your feelings and not sharing your personal emotions with others. Mental boundaries are about not engaging in gossip or getting caught up in negative thoughts. Communicating boundaries clearly and assertively is key to maintaining healthy relationships. When you set boundaries, you're not being selfish, you're being respectful of your own needs and limits. Be clear and direct. Use I statements to express your feelings and needs. Be specific, clearly state what you're comfortable with and what you're not. Be consistent, set boundaries proactively rather than reactively. Be firm, practice saying no without feeling guilty or apologetic. Remember, setting boundaries is not a one-time task, it's an ongoing process. It's essential to prioritize self-awareness and recognize when your emotional energy is being drained by others. By setting boundaries proactively, you'll be able to maintain your emotional energy and cultivate more respectful relationships. The role of no in setting boundaries is often misunderstood. Saying no is not about being negative or uncooperative, it's about being clear and direct about your limits. When you say no without justification or explanation, you're not only setting a boundary, but also respecting your own needs and desires. Have you ever felt like you're constantly walking on eggshells around others, trying to avoid conflict or rejection? Maybe you've been told that setting boundaries is selfish or that you're being too sensitive. But the truth is, setting boundaries is not about being selfish. It's about being clear, direct, and honest about what you're willing and not willing to do. When we set boundaries, we're not just protecting ourselves from emotional exhaustion and burnout. We're also creating space for healthy relationships to flourish. By being consistent and firm in our boundaries, we send a clear message to others that we respect ourselves and our needs. Let's explore some examples of setting boundaries with different people in our lives. With family members, friends, romantic partners, and colleagues, we need to be clear about what we're comfortable with and what we're not. For instance, if a family member constantly calls or texts you, asking for favors or advice, you might set a boundary by saying, "Hey, I'm happy to help you out, but I need some space." Can we schedule a specific time to talk? With friends, you might set a boundary by saying, I'm not comfortable with you borrowing money from me. Let's find another way to support each other. With romantic partners, you might set a boundary by saying, I love you, but I need some alone time. Can we take a break from each other for a few hours? With colleagues, you might set a boundary by saying, I'm not comfortable with working late hours. Can we find a solution that works for both of us? By being clear and direct, we can avoid misunderstandings and build trust with others. Empathy and understanding are essential when setting boundaries. We need to be able to see things from the other person's perspective and understand their perspective, even if we don't agree with it. By doing so, we can communicate our boundaries in a way that's respectful and considerate of others' feelings. Remember, setting boundaries is not about being selfish. It's about being clear, direct, and honest about what you're willing and not willing to do. By prioritizing self-care and self-compassion, we can create healthy relationships that nourish our minds, bodies, and spirits. Setting boundaries is not about being selfish or controlling. It's about being clear, assertive, and respectful. When we set boundaries, we're not pushing others away. We're actually creating space for healthier relationships. When we're faced with boundary pushback, it's common to feel anger, guilt, or shame. We might wonder if we're being too harsh or if we're somehow flawed for needing boundaries. But the truth is, setting boundaries is a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to say no and prioritize our own needs. When we do, we're not just protecting ourselves, we're also modeling healthy behavior for others. So, how do we navigate boundary pushback? First, we need to stay calm and assertive. This means taking a deep breath and speaking clearly without getting defensive or aggressive. We also need to listen actively and try to understand the other person's perspective. Sometimes, people push boundaries because they're not used to being told no, or because they're struggling with their own emotional energy. To maintain healthy relationships, we need to communicate boundaries clearly and respectfully. This means being specific, direct, and empathetic. We also need to be willing to adapt and adjust our boundaries as needed. Remember, boundaries are not a one-time event. They're a continuous process of communication and negotiation. When we set boundaries, we're not just protecting ourselves. We're also creating space for others to do the same. By being clear and assertive, we're modeling healthy behavior and modeling healthy relationships. So, the next time you're faced with boundary pushback, remember that you have the power to choose how you respond. You can stay calm, assertive, and respectful, and you can maintain healthy relationships that nourish and support you. Respect is the foundation upon which all healthy relationships are built, and it's not just about being polite or courteous. It's about valuing and honoring each other's boundaries, needs, and feelings. When we prioritize mutual respect, we create a safe and supportive environment where both parties feel heard, validated, and empowered. This is where active listening and empathy come in, two essential skills for building strong relationships. Active listening involves fully engaging with the other person, focusing on their words, tone, and body language, and responding in a way that shows you're truly hearing them. Empathy, on the other hand, is about putting yourself in the other person's shoes and understanding their perspective, even if you don't agree with it. Let's take a look at some examples of respectful communication and conflict resolution. Imagine you're in a conversation with a friend who's upset about something you did. Instead of getting defensive or dismissive, you take a deep breath, listen to their concerns, and respond in a way that acknowledges their feelings. You might say something like, I can see why you'd feel that way. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Can we talk about what happened and find a way to move forward? Respectful communication is not just about avoiding conflict, it's also about building trust and intimacy. When we communicate openly and honestly, we create a sense of safety and vulnerability that allows us to connect with each other on a deeper level. This is especially important in romantic relationships, where trust and intimacy are essential for a healthy and fulfilling partnership. But how do we cultivate respectful relationships in the first place? One key strategy is to set boundaries, not just with others, but also with ourselves. By setting clear boundaries, we communicate our needs and limits to others, and we also learn to prioritize our own emotional energy and well-being. This might mean saying no to requests that drain our energy or setting aside time for self-care and relaxation. By prioritizing mutual respect, active listening, and empathy, we can build strong, healthy relationships that bring joy and fulfillment to our lives. And by setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care, we can maintain the emotional energy we need to nurture those relationships. In the next section, we'll explore the importance of self-care and self-compassion in maintaining healthy boundaries and relationships. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in the needs of those around us, sacrificing our own well-being in the process. But what if I told you that there's a way to break free from this cycle and cultivate a deeper sense of self-care and self-compassion? The truth is, setting healthy boundaries is not selfish. It's essential for maintaining our emotional energy and building respectful relationships. When we prioritize our own needs and take care of ourselves, we become more resilient, more confident, and more capable of showing up for others in meaningful ways. So, what does self-care and self-compassion look like in practice? It starts with mindfulness and self-awareness, recognizing when we're feeling drained or overwhelmed and taking steps to recharge. This might mean setting aside time for meditation or yoga, taking a relaxing bath, or simply taking a few deep breaths throughout the day. But self-care is not just about individual practices. It's also about cultivating a sense of community and connection. When we prioritize our own needs, we're more likely to show up for others in a way that's authentic and meaningful. We're more likely to listen actively, to offer support and encouragement, and to build strong, healthy relationships. Of course, prioritizing self-care and self-compassion can be challenging, especially when we're surrounded by people who may not respect our boundaries. But here's the thing: setting boundaries is not about being selfish or controlling. It's about being clear and direct about our needs. It's about communicating our limits and expectations in a way that's respectful and assertive. So, how can you prioritize self-care and self-compassion in your own life? Make time for activities that nourish your mind, body, and soul, whether that's reading a book, taking a walk, or practicing yoga. Learn to say no without feeling guilty or anxious. Remember, saying no to others means saying yes to yourself. Prioritize self-compassion by treating yourself with kindness and understanding, just as you would a close friend. Seek out supportive relationships and communities that uplift and inspire you. Practice mindfulness and self-awareness by paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations throughout the day. By prioritizing self-care and self-compassion, you'll not only maintain your emotional energy, but also cultivate a deeper sense of connection and community. You'll become more resilient, more confident, and more capable of showing up for others in meaningful ways. So, take the first step today and start prioritizing your own needs. Your mind, body, and soul will thank you. Have you ever felt like you're constantly giving, but never quite getting what you need in return? Maybe you're always putting others' needs before your own, sacrificing your own desires and boundaries to keep the peace. If so, you're not alone. Setting healthy boundaries is a crucial part of maintaining our emotional energy and cultivating respectful relationships. But what does it mean to set healthy boundaries? It's not about being selfish or controlling. It's about being clear and intentional about what we're willing and not willing to do. When we set boundaries, we're not saying no to others. We're saying yes to ourselves. We're saying that our needs and desires matter, and that we deserve to be treated with respect and care. As we explore the concept of boundaries, let's take a moment to reflect on our own emotional energy. What drains us? What fills us up? Are there people in our lives who consistently leave us feeling drained or exhausted? Are there situations or activities that make us feel like we're losing ourselves? Take a deep breath and imagine yourself in a place where you feel completely safe and supported. What does that look like? What does it feel like? Allow yourself to fully immerse in this sense of calm and security. Now, let's bring this sense of calm back to our current reality. As we navigate our relationships and daily life, remember that setting boundaries is not a one-time task. It's an ongoing process. It requires self-awareness, communication, and a willingness to prioritize our own needs. In the next part of this video, we'll explore the different types of boundaries and how to communicate them clearly and assertively. We'll also discuss the challenges of setting boundaries with others and how to navigate conflict and boundary pushback. For now, take a moment to reflect on your own boundaries and relationships. What areas do you feel like you need to improve? What intentions do you want to set for yourself? Take a piece of paper and write down 3 things you want to work on in the next week. It could be as simple as saying no to one extra commitment or setting aside 15 minutes each day for self-care. Remember, setting healthy boundaries is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional and compassionate. It's about recognizing our own needs and desires and communicating them clearly to others. By doing so, we create space for ourselves to grow, learn, and thrive. Take a deep breath and repeat the following phrase to yourself: I am worthy of setting healthy boundaries. I am worthy of being treated with respect and care. I am worthy of prioritizing my own needs and desires. As you continue on this journey of setting healthy boundaries, remember that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to say no and mean it. It's okay to prioritize yourself and your own needs. You are not alone in this process, and you are deserving of love, care, and respect from yourself and others. Let's recap the key takeaways. First, we learned that setting boundaries is not selfish, but necessary for self-care. It's about recognizing your emotional energy and prioritizing it, so you can show up fully for yourself and others. We discussed the different types of boundaries, including physical, emotional, and mental, and how to communicate them clearly and assertively. We also explored the challenges of setting boundaries with others, especially those who may not respect them. But we learned that being consistent and firm is key, and that empathy and understanding can help navigate conflict and boundary pushback. One of the most important takeaways is the importance of self-care and self-compassion in maintaining healthy boundaries. By prioritizing your own needs and emotions, you'll be better equipped to set and maintain healthy boundaries. This means being mindful of your emotional energy drains, practicing self-awareness, and taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. As we wrap up this video, I want to leave you with a final thought. Setting healthy boundaries is not a one-time task, but an ongoing process. It requires effort, commitment, and practice. But the benefits are well worth it: reduced stress and anxiety, improved relationships, and increased self-respect and self-worth. So, I encourage you to prioritize self-care and self-compassion. Take time to reflect on your own boundaries and relationships. Identify areas for improvement and set intentions for change. Remember, setting healthy boundaries is not about cutting others out of your life, but about creating space for yourself to thrive. As you move forward, I want to leave you with a quote from the renowned psychologist, Brené Brown. Boundaries are the lines that we draw around ourselves to protect our hearts, our minds, and our souls. By setting healthy boundaries, you're not only protecting yourself, but also creating space for deeper, more meaningful connections with others. So go ahead and take the first step towards setting healthy boundaries. You deserve it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, help us reach more awesome people like you by hitting the like button and subscribing. It really makes a difference. Thanks, and see you in the next one.